Well, welcome to the next episode in Ghost in the Machine. And I'm Dennis Feeney. And with me, as always,
Joe Zenk, yes, from over in Wisconsin. I was telling a buddy about the podcast, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that is the greatest thing." I think he
wow.
wanted
Oh,
to like
nice.
be like a third onto it.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, well, what we do is we pick songs that are meaningful to us. And then we do a deep dive into the lyrics and kind of dive into that confluence where um, the the lyrics meet uh,
The spirit.
spirituality.
Yep. They meet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
that a is that a
100%.
yeah?
Absolutely. Yep.
And
Where are we
and
met in the spirit through what we're hearing? And that can be in
yeah,
a number of ways.
yeah. The Holy Spirit can come to us any way the Holy Spirit wants to come to us.
Yep.
And um, I know for a fact that when I'm listening to a song and the it I'm just engrossed in it and identifying with it, I think that's the spirit reaching reaching us. And it may be through like um through my iPod and listening to a song from, in this case, I think
1986.
1986.
Yep. Yep. I
And
mean, gosh,
so
that's
that's
almost
kind of
40
the,
years ago.
oh my gosh.
Ah,
And that's the kind of machine part, and the ghost is the uh, that spirit reaching out to us,
well,
and
and I would say too
hopefully we're open to that.
that okay, so whoever's listening, first of all, bless you, and we love having you
Mm,
along. And
mm,
secondly,
mm.
Dennis and I met years and years ago, been friends for 30 years, and we met through our association as Catholics. So just
Yeah,
know we're going to be coming at this from a Catholic perspective, not
that's
because
right.
we think it's the only perspective, but it's because the one we know, and we're being authentic that way.
Yeah,
But listen, the spirit comes as the spirit comes, and we don't even need to name it as a Christian thing or as a religious
mm,
thing. The
yeah,
spirit comes when we are uplifted. I mean, we may listen to any type of song. Heck, the last one that we did, Dennis, was BOC, Don't Fear the Reaper. It's like,
yeah,
and Tubular Bells.
yeah,
And we're talking about how is the spirit invested there? Because the spirit, there's
yeah,
nowhere the spirit can't be. It's just
yeah,
our opening to it. And the spirit will come as the spirit comes, and it just makes us better. It
yeah,
makes us more who we are called to be and more loving. And you can name that as you need to name it. We're going to name it from a Catholic perspective because that's who we are.
yeah,
But don't feel put off by that. That just
yeah.
means the spirit is much larger, much larger.
Yes.
Dennis and I do not have a I don't know, a corner on that market, as they say.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, we don't like play racquetball with the Holy Spirit once a week.
Well, you might.
I
I haven't played
wish.
racquetball in a while, so maybe I need to pick up my game.
I wish. That would be awesome. The Holy Spirit would like take me to the cleaners, I'm quite certain. But so we always like to open with a blessing, and I keep going back to this book that I have, To Bless the Space Between Us by John O'Donohue, because there are so many
So
there's so many great blessings in here. I keep reading the same ones, but there are others. So I am
a
hoping
good
this is
blessing is a good blessing, man.
a good blessing is a good blessing. Yeah. And so I think this is one that I have not read before. And so anyway, so it is called For Presence. Awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. Have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. Receive encouragement when new frontiers beckon. Respond to the call of your gift and the courage to follow its path. Let the flame of anger free you of all falsity. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame. May anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. Take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. Be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. May you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder.
You're here.
So today we are talking about Higher Love by Steve Winwood. A song that was released in 1986.
Off the album Back in the High Life, which,
Yes,
my friends, if you've
just
not listened to it, heck, pause the podcast and go
yes,
listen. The album is terrific.
yeah, it is. It's just, yeah, it's one of those like pinnacle albums,
Yeah.
in someone's career.
Yeah.
It really was, Um, yeah, it's just fantastic. And this song is, well, we were talking about what what song to do next, and we were when Joe and I started talking about this, we were in that period of time in the church year called ordinary time, and that was between um, between Christmas and Lent, right?
Yeah, the Christmas season. So I'll just jump in for those
Yeah,
who aren't
please.
Catholic or liturgical. Again, don't worry. We're not trying to force anything, but just as the book of Ecclesiastes says there is a season for everything, time for every purpose, and we go through seasons in our life. The church liturgical year will invite us into seasons. And we just celebrated Advent and Christmas. Advent is the 4 weeks going up to Christmas. It's the new year. And then the Christmas season for about 3 weeks. And then there's this period of about seven-ish, give or take, weeks of what we call ordinary time, just the normal ins and outs of life and how we live and move and have our being within those moments. And how do we open ourselves to the Spirit within that ordinary places, our ordinary relationships, our ordinary work, whatever, before we enter into that special season called Lent, a season of preparation for the season of Easter, of new life. So just know when Dennis gave me the assignment and I dragged my feet, it was an ordinary time. We are now in Lent, but he said, Joe, a song that just speaks of ordinary love. What does that look like? Ordinary life. What does that look like? And we drilled down to this one after we kind of looked at a handful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think and you mentioned this in your podcast, Cup of Joe,
Well,
which is
there's a
fantastic.
shameless plug. Thank you. Cup of Joe. That's me.
Which is fantastic. And I love listening to it. And you talk about that ordinary time is I mean, it's called ordinary time, but at the same time, it is like you were just saying, it definitely has its place. And I don't think it's something that I think it's something that um, you know, there's like a potential richness, there's a potential real beauty in that idea, at least to me, of ordinary time and and just kind of like you were saying, finding the spirit um in our day-to-day lives, and how do I be a good how do I
Yep.
navigate this crazy freaking world,
Yep.
as with guided by the Spirit.
And I think that's it, Dennis. It's life is not lived on a mountaintop. I mean, those are
Mhm.
wonderful. And I think we thank God when they come. But
Yeah,
and thankfully it's not lived in the depths all the time either, although we're there too.
yeah,
Life is lived mostly in the banal, in the day to
mhm,
day. And so the question is, okay, God, where are you here? Because you got to be here. I mean, because I'm
yeah,
here.
yeah,
And you're either walking with me or not. Um, and how do I open myself to that life? Again, don't even need to name it in religious terms. How do I open myself to spirit, to life, to love, to goodness, to whatever it is? Because it's there.
yeah,
And most of the time, we can just go through numb or asleep. And how do we become awake
yeah,
within ordinary time,
yeah,
at any time?
yeah, yeah.
And that makes it not ordinary, but extraordinary, right?
That's right. That's right. And and so higher love.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I definitely, I think I get it, because as we read through the lyrics, here, the character in the song, and I don't know if this is autobiographical by Steve Winwood and his co-writer Will Jennings or not, but I to me it sounds like someone who is going through life and longing for something more.
That's it, buddy.
Hmm.
Yep. I think at its base, Dennis, it's a song about longing. I think you just named it. And I think it's not just whether it's autobiographical or not. I don't think it's just Steve. I think it's all of us, right? To be
Yeah,
human is to carry that hunger, that thirst, that longing, that desire for connection. I mean, again, with whom or what is, I think, the beauty of the song, that it allows us to work within art, that where that higher love is coming from
yeah,
is up to us on our search. But that longing is present in all of us, right?
yeah. Hmm. So how about I'll read the first verse
Yep.
and then we can dive in. So this
And
is
I'm
what
gonna,
we Mhm.
Steve, if you come across this podcast, first of all, we thank you
Yeah.
for the creation of the song. And two, we ask your
Yep.
forgiveness if we take it completely out of context. And you have to put out a podcast correcting these yahoos who are going where they want to go.
That's right.
But we have a beer in our hand and an evening
That's right.
party among buddies, and we're going to talk about music.
All right. So here we go. Think about it. There must be a higher love down in the heart or hidden in the stars above.
All right, stop right there. Stop right there. Stop. Because my question for Steve,
Yeah.
we are living in no, wonderful time, and the world seems incredibly chaotic and screwed up right now. But the 80s was no panacea, either.
No,
I lived.
it was, oh man,
So, what
duck
in
and
the
cover.
world would make Winwood or any of us think that that first line is indeed true? Think about it, he says. There must be higher love. Why? Why? What on earth makes us think that is indeed true? I mean, if
Yeah.
everything is for shit
Mhm.
sometimes, why? What evidence is there in that of love?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not rhetorical. How would you answer that?
You're you're asking me. Um,
Oh, and I'm asking Dennis Feeney, my friend, how he
yeah,
would answer, and I'm not asking for the philosophical
sure.
end
Yeah.
result answer.
Yeah. When you were asking that, I got thinking about are we just kidding ourselves? You know,
Mhm.
are we just kidding ourselves that, is it just something human that we need to think about, and we need a
Is a God,
God.
right?
We need a God. And um but
Gives us hope in the mud.
yeah, yeah. Um and but I think it's an article, well, okay. I think it's a leap, it is a leap of faith,
Yeah, amen.
it's a leap of faith. Think about it, there must be a higher love.
Yeah.
Um and um And I think there are moments in my life where that there have been times when I have really felt the presence,
Yeah.
of the Holy Spirit and of God. And I don't think I was kidding myself. I don't think I was delusional or
Making it
tripping
up.
or
Yep.
whatever
Yep.
you want to call
Yep.
it, and there were several moments that are like coming to mind right now that I don't that we don't necessarily have to get into. And but um, yeah, I mean, just so, and I think it's those moments that where God is revealing Himself to us.
I I think that's a great point, Dennis. I think of just listening to you, I think of Mother Teresa. Um, and she was doing a certain ministry, wasn't she, like a teacher or something to young kids? And she was on a train in India where she had her mystical experience of God, where she encountered God one time in her life, and it changed her forever. She never had that encounter again, ever. But it was so intense and so pure, and she knew she was called to the poorest of the poor at that moment, that she left that community that she was a part of, started her own community, and went and just did it. And if you hear later in her life that she had moments of just, she felt no presence at all, but she was so convinced of that one presence that she went out and lived out of that space the rest of her life in a knowledge not up here or in feelings out here, but in a deep knowledge of the heart. And when you know.
Yeah,
And to your point that you've had them, and again, life isn't lived on a mountaintop. But if we were there once, we know it. But
yeah,
I would also argue that, again, to Winwood's point, because I think Winwood's right. Think about it. There must be a higher love. Because I go back to your point. This song is all about longing. Why would God, why would the Spirit, why would a creation, whatever it is, place this deep longing for connection, for love in our heart, and then made that unfulfillable? And I think even us sitting here knowing that the world is crazy and chaotic and watching the news, I think it's precisely news because we look at it and say, that's out of joint. That shouldn't be that way. This fire or this terrorism or this earthquake or these things, that's not the way the world was meant to be. And so it is news by its very nature, because by our nature and how we're built, we are called to love, and things outside of that norm are news. Does that make sense? I think we just know inherently that we
yeah,
we are called to connection and called to love one another and walk hand in hand, whatever that looks like. Sounds very 70s, but that we're called to walk together.
yeah,
And when that doesn't happen, we feel like there's an injustice going on. And I think that's how we name it, to say there's a lot of injustice going on because I know love. And this
yeah,
doesn't look like it.
yeah. And I I read recently what I've been trying to do. and I'm actually accomplishing it, which is wonderful. Um, for the most part. I've, about a little year ago or so, I was, even before that, I would get so wrapped around the axle about the stuff you're talking about, all the stuff that you see, like doom scrolling, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, on the phone.
Yeah.
And I finally just was like, um, I'm driving myself batty. I'm driving myself crazy with this stuff. I mean, it's a short trip to begin with, but no. And I need to do something. So I just decided, I'm going to look at these two sources of news. One's a local one and one is a national one. I'm not going to name who, but I'm going to look at them in the morning and then that is it. I'm done for the day. If something dramatic happens, I'm I'll hear about it, and then I can decide to give it my attention or not. Um, and that has been, um, that's been super helpful. And on the days I don't do that, I really feel it.
Wow.
I
I dig that. I
feel like
appreciate that. Yep.
I feel it, like it's like, like uh I don't know, like Darth Sidious is using his Sith lightning to like just
Mm.
just like fry the force right out of me. But and and to get back what I was reading about how um that, not to start busting on the news and um but that more good stuff happens in the day than bad stuff. Otherwise, we would, I mean, there's a preponderance of good things or just things happening that work from
Yep.
sunrise to sunset. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be here, right?
But
And it's
well,
those
and
dramatic things that,
good is the norm.
yeah, yeah,
I agree with you. And so I think Winwood is right.
yes,
But it's interesting. He's like, think about it. And I'm like, if you think about it, you could go either way here, Steve. But I like
depending
his
on the
next
day.
line where he says, think about it, there must be higher love found in the heart or hidden in the stars above.
Yeah,
What do you think about that? I mean, that's an
I
awesome,
love
isn't
that.
it?
Down in the heart or hidden in the stars
Yep.
above.
Yep.
Without it, life is wasted time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that could be
Gosh,
the greatest
isn't
line
that
in the whole
yeah,
song, right?
yeah. Look inside your heart, I'll look inside mine.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, what a great verse. By the way, you just 4 lines and you're in.
Yeah,
And I think again, rhetorical, Dennis, you don't have to answer this, but it's like, what would life be like without love? I mean, that third line, without it, life is wasted time. Um, because it's like it without love, and I'll define love this way. I mean, others will define it in ways that maybe are better or certainly more to what their understanding is. But I would say love is what pulls me outside of me. It is what pulls me outside of myself toward the other, be that my wife, be that my family, be that my community, be that my world, be that my God, be that whatever that is. But it pulls me and it makes me better. It fashions me, it forms me. And so without love, I think I'm trapped in this small self. And man, that would be a waste of not only my time, but everybody's. That would be awful. Doesn't I mean that's where I come from.
yeah. Yeah, ooh. Yeah, no, you are exactly right, 100% right. I mean, I think about how sometimes how spend my days sometimes, or even part of my days sometimes, and um, it's I think it's those things that are um, yeah, when I'm being selfish, it's when I'm tripping over those stumbling blocks, in life that keep me focused on me. Um,
I
yeah.
think we all do it, right? That's yeah, yeah. Oh, all right. So then we go from those first four lines to,
Yeah.
in a sense, it's not a bridge, but
It's kind of like the pre-chorus.
it's kind of like a pre-chorus. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, things look so bad everywhere, which I love
Yeah.
that he says that because
Yeah.
he's putting it out there to say, listen, I'm not a Pollyanna here. I'm
Yeah.
not just hoping for this. I'm a realist. I know this song is grounded in reality. Things look so bad everywhere in this whole world. What is fair? We walk blind and we try to see, falling behind in what could be. That's so good, man. Oh, isn't it?
It is. It's almost like a psalm.
I mean, you know,
And it
yes,
is.
yes. Dennis, well said. It's like a psalm. I think that's very true. Um, I love the line, "We walk blind and we try to see," which is both realistic and hopeful to me. Um,
Yeah.
because we are blind. I mean, we just had the gospel, what, a few weeks back, can the blind person lead a blind person? They both fall into a pit. Um, but it's saying it's accepting who we are. And it doesn't mean, brothers and sisters, I hope nobody's hearing this and saying, there go those dang religious people telling us all we're awful again. No, no, it just means we have blind spots within us. Everybody does. And
Yeah.
and and to be able to admit that, to say, yeah, that's true. I need to listen to those who aren't blind in the ways that I am blind, but I'm going to try. And in listening to you, Dennis, and listening to others, you help me see. We walk blind and we try to see. Um, but
Oh,
it's
and
got to be active. I mean, it's again,
yeah.
gosh, in ordinary time, in ordinary life, I can be blinded because I'm just going through the routine. I'm just going through life
Yeah.
blindly because I've been down this road. I've talked to this person 100 times. I've done this job, for 5 years, and I can just go in the routine and not see it or see the person or see the beauty anymore.
Yeah.
Blind until I'm
Hmm.
pulled out of that reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for me, this discussion and this podcast, um, I called it a video blog, and my daughter Cora, corrected me. It was like, it's not a video blog. I don't know,
I don't know the difference. I'm like, I'm good.
but
Call it what you want.
whatever this is, it, I mean, I mean, it is something that is it's helping me. And it, and I am an imperfect person, and I have my blind spots, and I have holes that I fall into every freaking day, multiple times a day. Earlier today. And and so if you're listening to this, um please, we're not trying to um we're not trying to push this out to anybody. It's an opportunity to look inside my heart. And
Look inside mine.
yeah, and just yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's well, Joe and I used to go out and we would, like after an event at the Newman Center or something like that, we would go downtown in Laramie and
But
grab
Elmer's,
Elmer's and grab a pint. And we back then, you could bring your pipe and tobacco, and so we would go
we
there
did.
and have a pint, and so
Those
this
were
is kind of
halcyon
like
days, man.
this is really, like kind of what we were talking about back then.
Just a couple of yahoos over a beer. We just don't
Yeah.
have our pipes here.
And so, yeah, falling behind in what could be, and things look so bad everywhere. Um, I just love that. And I love that that is coming from 1986. And it absolutely rings true today
Yeah.
as well. And no
I
matter
agree, Dennis. I
where
think
you
that's well
are
said.
on any sort of spectrum, right, of life, politics, whatever, all that crap that drives us all batty. Um, things look so bad everywhere. Yeah, yeah, they do. And they did back in 1986, and they will, I mean, 40 years from now,
After
they'll
you and
be
I shuffle off this mortal coil.
yeah, because well, let's not talk
And
about
then
how
I ain't
old we'll
making it
be.
40 more years.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, even that last line, falling behind in what could be. I mean,
yeah,
it's saying, listen, the ideal, we're not reaching it. We're not living it um, as individuals, as a people, and maybe as a relationship, whatever that is. We're falling short. And that's not a shaming thing. I don't hear him
yeah,
shaming us. I think he's
yeah,
just saying, I'm naming the reality of what human existence is. But then he goes on to the chorus. So that was just the pre-chorus.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
he's going on to the chorus, which is bring me that higher love. And
yeah,
he yearns for it so much he sings it 3 times in a row. Bring me that higher
yeah,
love. Bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love I've been thinking of? I keep thinking of.
yeah,
And I love it because he knows he's like, if I'm not going to be blind anymore, or if we're not just going to be falling behind in what could be, or things looking bad everywhere, there's got to be a love that is going to undergird this. Bring that to me so I can do my part in whatever that is. And I love again, Winwood doesn't give us the answer where that comes from. He's just
yeah,
like, I don't even know who he's talking to here.
yeah,
I can, from a Catholic ministerial perspective, say this is a psalm, as you say, this is a cry to God, bring me that higher love. But he could be talking to his wife, he could be talking to his lover, he could be talking to his best friend, a parent, a child. Bring that love to me, because isn't that really what we want to know, Dennis? That
yeah.
essentially we are the beloved one,
Hmm.
and whether that is beloved of God, whether that is beloved of our spouse, and beloved of our best friend or whoever, but that we are seen, we are known, we are loved, and we are beloved. And in being that beloved, love calls forth love. That thank you for that belovedness, and now I can give it. In order,
Yeah,
together we can help try to make things right. And yes, we will do so in fits and spurts, and it will be, less than what it needs to be to
yeah,
bring about a world that's changed, but maybe in some small way I can change the world around me
yeah,
because you have loved me, whoever this is.
yeah.
But he's
And
longing, he's looking, bring it to me. Where are you? Where is that love that I'm looking for?
yeah, where's that higher love I keep thinking of? Hmm. And then,
When I was pondering this before you and I got on, when I read that line, I thought of the Buddhist saying that I just found God, where he always was. Which that idea is, oh, I've been searching everywhere for God. I just found him. Well, he was always right there, right next to me, right within me, right around me, right above me, right in my everyday circumstance. I just found God, and he's been there the whole time. And in a sense, I hear Winwood's plea, bring me that higher love. Where's that higher love I keep thinking of? And it's like, it's right there, my friend. It's right there if we are but awake to see it in all of the blessings and the love that is given to us every day. It's the air in our lungs. It's the beat in our heart. It's the ability to wake up with someone in the morning and be able to say, I love you. It's the sunlight in the air. It's the bank account, the money in our account. It's the friendship that I can sit down and have a beer with. What I mean, it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And like we said in the last episode, even when things are darkest, there's there's there if we look for it, and it can be difficult,
Yeah, amen.
but um there there's a light, and we can use that to to guide us like a freaking lighthouse, through a
We walk
storm.
blind, but we try to see. We try to see,
Yeah.
and that's it, right? Yeah. But
Mhm.
some of this
But
is on us. I mean, we can't just wait and say, okay, God or person or whatever, love me. I mean, we gotta look for it. We gotta open ourselves to it. I mean, we have to cooperate with
that's
grace,
true.
as the saying goes.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's so good.
That
It's
is. So
again, I keep
verse
coming
so
back to your point,
yeah.
the longing, longing, longing. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, and
How are we doing? Got to keep her moving, huh?
yeah, we do.
Hey man, we're only through the first verse and the chorus and chorus. We haven't even got to the second verse of the bridge.
Yeah, I'm ready to pour another one here.
Yeah, we'll keep her moving. We'll keep her moving.
Um, so worlds are turning and we're just hanging on, facing our fear and standing out there alone. A yearning, and it's real to me. There must be someone who's feeling for me.
And again, he's so good, not because he's brilliant. He's so good because he's honest and he's naming what we all feel, right?
Yeah,
Um, from time to time, not all the
yeah.
time. Um, uh,
Yeah, I love that. He's being honest.
yeah,
And yeah, I mhm, yeah. And that reminds me of, like when in the stories in the Bible, when people would come to Jesus for healing, he would always he would ask them, what do you want? What is it that you want?
yeah. What are you looking
And what are you looking for? Um, and I want to see. I want that living water. Um, and longing,
for? Yeah,
and not and being honest about it and asking for help and saying, yeah, I'm I'm falling short, or life has dealt me you know a tough hand, but yeah.
Dennis, I think that's brilliant. Yes, what is it you want? And really, maybe that's what this song is inviting us to ask ourselves too. Um, I really like that. Um, that last line where he says, there must be someone who's feeling for me. And I've already kind of mentioned this, but I go back to, you just mentioned Jesus and his healing. I go back to Jesus when the baptism, when he was baptized. And um, in any of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they're a little bit different, but the whole idea is he is baptized by John in the Jordan, and whether it's him coming up out of the water or him in prayer afterward, he feels the heavens open up and he hears the voice of God say, "This is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased." Um, and whether it was, loud and everybody could hear it, or whether he heard it in his heart, it's like, I don't need to know the answer to that, but he just knew he was beloved. He knew that. And then he went into the desert for 40 days, meaning he went into a place of emptiness to ponder, what does that mean that I'm the beloved one? And then he came out of the desert and lived out of that beloved space for the rest of his ministry. Um, and I think of Winwood here, that there must be someone who's feeling for me. That again, that longing, to use your word, that idea, that deep, what is it we're looking for? We're looking for someone to look us in the eye and say, Dennis, you are my beloved one. You're my beloved one. And for you, then, not to just say, you're just being kind, Heather. You have to say that because you're my mother or whatever, Um, but for you to really look inside and say, what does that mean to me? Or I'm just using you, and then live the rest of your life out of that space to say, I am beloved. Toni Morrison wrote the book. It's beloved. That's it. We are beloved. And once we know that, I don't think we can ever go back. Can we? And that doesn't mean we don't yearn and long, because we can get
And
into
fall
it.
and fall
Yeah,
and fall. And I recently heard, well, as we're approaching Easter, um, the example that Jesus gives us when he's carrying the cross, he falls 3 times,
yeah.
but he falls, but he gets back up.
Yeah.
He didn't stay down. Um, which is encouraging. That resonated with me because I'm falling down all the time
Well,
in multiple ways.
but again, I think you are being honest, because we all do. And the ones who are not going to say that, I think, are the ones who are not telling the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, there was, I was talking with a very wise person, and I said something like, yeah, well, I'm dealing with this issue, or trying to. I said, I guess everybody is dealing with something. And he said, or not, but everybody has something. Whether you're dealing with it, trying to get back up or not, we all have stumbling blocks, right? um, in our lives, like we were talking about with tubular bells, the devil comes to us in a lot of different ways, it's not that in that movie, it's just like in your face, like
Right.
literal,
Hard to ignore.
like puking pea soup all over you, and you're like,
Heads trailing all the
oh,
way around.
give. Um, but it's, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if exorcism, at that literal level, I mean, but I think that well, I know, that there are just a bunch of different ways that, we can stumble and fall um, but, like God gives us that example of, you know, getting back up, no matter what we're marching towards, right? Or where and it may seem like we're marching towards something that's really horrible, but if we're walking with God, God can redeem that, whatever that situation is that we're.
Yep. I believe that wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. So then we go back into the pre-chorus.
Yeah.
Things look so bad everywhere in this world. What is fair? We walk blind and we try to see, falling behind in what could be. Then into the chorus again, bring me a higher love. 3 times, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love I keep thinking of? So let's jump now
And
to the
and
bridge.
on that, yeah, they sing the chorus one time and then they repeat it. And
Yep.
on that second time, he varies that last line.
Oh, awesome.
And he says,
Nailed that.
he varies it and he said, I could rise above on a
Oh,
higher love.
I'm so glad you said that.
And I just dig that.
Oh,
Dig it.
well, because again, it's so true, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he sees the possibility,
Yeah.
but he's lacking the means. He is crying out. I love your image that this is a psalm. This is a psalm, dude. Yeah. Wow. Oh, Dennis, that's brilliant. Not where. He's not looking for it. I could rise above. I know what could be. Ah, man. Yes. And again, I go back to the second line of the whole song. He think about it. There must be a higher love down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. It's not so centrally located that I control this thing. It's not so distant that I'm never going to see it out in the stars. It's again, it's both and it's here. But I know I can rise above. I know I can rise above with this, but I'm just needing it now. I'm needing it now. He's clearly had a taste of it before,
Yeah.
and he's yearning for it again. And he's not having it, and he needs it because he knows what he can be and where this relationship or this life could be. But he's
Yeah.
just not there.
Yeah. And then in the bridge,
Oh, dude, take me to
then
the
it
bridge because
turns and
it's so good.
he's like, I'll wait for it.
Yeah.
I'm not too late for it. Until then, I'll sing my song to cheer the night along. It's so awesome because it's like, and that's what we need in life. We need people like that in our lives who are, when the shit is hitting the fan, right? We need people like that who can buoy our spirits and, you know, to use the sailing metaphor again, and and say, let's put our heading on that freaking lighthouse and, you know, um,
I love the second line. I mean, I love the whole bridge. It's so good. Um, but I'm not too late for it. You know, in
Yeah.
one, he's saying, I'm
Yeah.
gonna wait, that love's gonna come in its own time, in its own way, in its own power, and I just have to be awake and I have to be ready. So we have to be ready. Um, you know, it's like the parable again, sorry, the parable of the 10 virgins, five have, you know, oil in their lamps and five don't, and waiting for the bridegroom. And when the bridegroom comes, some of them don't have the oil and they have to go back and get it and they miss it. But the ones who did have the oil, the ones who waited well, are ready when the bridegroom comes. And we don't know when and how that love is going to come to us, but we have to be ready for it. That is our job. Love will come when love comes. I love that. But then the next line, I'm not too late for it, meaning it hasn't missed me. And I think we've all had moments of despair that maybe I should have said yes to that woman back in 1985. And I missed that. And I missed out on love because I blew it back then, you know, or I said the wrong decision to my spouse yesterday, or whatever it is. And I think again, we don't live in a world of scarcity where love is like, well, you missed it. We live in a
Yeah.
world of abundance where if
Yeah.
indeed God is love, if John is correct that where there is love, there is God, and that God is love, um, that we haven't missed it. Just wait for it. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to come in a way and a time and a place that you don't know and may be surprised, but it's coming. And
Hmm.
and it is abundant. And like you said, to use your words, Dennis, God can redeem anything, even those dumb decisions we've made and where we think we've lost it, but we haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no, I think that's a very, um, well, Joe has a degree in finance and I have a degree in, well, marketing and economics. Um, and I think that's very like get in trouble here, but like a very Western kind of that there's scarcity. And,
Yeah.
and with some things, there certainly is, like,
It's the capitalistic
there's
model.
only so much of certain things. I mean, that is reality. And, but there are some things, um, where there isn't where, and love is one of those things, you know, we have to be willing to choose it. We have to, and when we do, then we tap into that and we open ourselves to the spirit, I think.
I think that's beautifully said. Until then, I'll sing my song. It's just so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cheer the night along. Um, this is just, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna trust it. And whatever that song is that you and I sing, or that you, dear listener, sing, just keep singing it. And and it's gonna come to cheer the night, the despair, the darkness, the doubt. It's not where we're gonna stay.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Right. Right. And that is something that what you're saying, that's not where we're going to stay. I think that is really key, um, to move forward, to heal, to find, to tap into the spirit, and that we can't sit there and wallow. We can. I'm living proof. We can, but it doesn't freaking get us anywhere, you know?
Yeah. And there's a season for wallowing. Just just don't stay there.
Just don't stay there.
Yep. Yep. It's,
Yeah.
it's, we're not too late. We haven't missed it. The boat's waiting for us. So then we go into, I don't know if it's an extension of the bridge or if it's a third verse here, Dennis. Um,
Oh gosh, this is so awesome.
it is
I
so
love
good. So
this.
I'll
It's
read these and then I want to hear what
yeah,
you have to say.
it is. It's almost like a bridge verse kind of thing.
Because it isn't
But
sung in the
it's
same way as
brilliant.
a verse, but
And
I could light the night up
our
with my
man Steve
soul on
Winwood
fire.
won our man Steve Winwood won 2 Grammys for this song.
Did
So
he really?
he did. So yeah.
And
So
that's
a
why,
little unconventional in the structure, but it works.
so we're not going to
It's
name what it
beautiful.
is. It just is.
It
And what it
is. Yeah.
is fantastic. But he says, I could light the night up with my soul on fire. I could make the sun shine from pure desire. Let me feel that love come over me. Let me feel how strong it could be. And then he goes back into bring me a higher love and sings it several times before the end of the song. So what are
Shaka
your
Khan.
thoughts on that last bridge slash post
Yeah.
bridge slash
Yeah.
verse oddity? That's so
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, in that last chorus when they're going out, that's what you can really hear Shaka Khan
is that
just.
Shaka Khan?
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh,
she does
I
background
didn't know
vocals
that.
throughout
She
the song.
rocks that.
She's bringing it. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Bring it on
awesome.
home.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
And Nile Rodgers plays guitar on this one.
See, I didn't
You
know
know,
that.
just yeah, it's crazy. Um, so I could light up, I could light the night up with my soul on fire. I could make the sun shine from pure desire. These are things that he is saying. These are things I can do when I do tap into the spirit. When I decide to, you know, get up one more time. You know, I've fallen, but maybe I've been down for a little bit, but I'm gonna get back up. And here's and there's Heather and I recently watched, and we've seen it a number of times, but we um watched it, Almost Famous. Have you seen that?
Such a good movie.
Such a good movie. And there's that scene where Russell Hammond is on the phone with William's mom, and she's like reading him the right,
Freaking him out.
freaking him out. And she says, "What is? Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get it right." But if you want the actual quote, go. You got to watch the movie. It's fantastic. It will not be a waste of your time. But
No,
she says something like, "It's not too late for you, Russell Hammond.
yeah.
You can still be a person of substance." And she said, um, "Call out, and mighty forces will come to your aid." And yeah, she totally blows his mind, and he's like, she's just,
Mom freaked me out, man.
I'm supposed to go play a rock show, and I'm like, all like, what?
I gotta watch that movie again.
Your mom kind of freaked me
Okay.
out. um, yeah, mighty forces will come to your aid. Um,
Can I jump in? So when I
yeah,
read those
please.
first
Yeah.
two lines, I could light the night up with my soul on fire. I can make the sunshine from pure desire. Again, I talked about Mother Teresa when she had her mystical experience on the train. There's a famous story that Blaise Pascal wrote about the French mathematician back in, mid 1600s, when he one evening had a mystical experience as well. And what he wrote, he said, I was sitting by the fireplace or whatever and doing my math quotes, and all of a sudden, he's like, he was wordless about it. Almost, he couldn't name it. He said, and then for 2 hours, fire. And that's all he wrote. That this mystical experience of God was just fire. 2 hours of and I hear Winwood sing these words.
Yeah.
I could light the night up with my soul on fire. I could make the sunshine from pure desire. I'm like, he's looking for that oneness, that union, that mystical experience. Again, I will say with God, and that because of that oneness with God, we can be one with one another. And that's what his yearning is for. I think that's what we're made for, that yearning for. We're made for that oneness. And he's named
Yeah.
it. It's beautiful.
So how do we tap into that? We're made for union, we're made for this. Um, how do we tap into that? How do we make that happen in our lives?
I can only answer for me. Um, and again, I think other people will roll their eyes at my answer, and that's okay. Um, but I mean, Dennis, you and I both practice something called centering prayer. And to me, that's a prayer of silence. I try to take, on my better days, 20 minutes in the morning and just open myself and say, God, take over everything that is in me and of me. Be present and just sit and listen. Um, and not try to direct God, not try to talk to God, even though I do a lot, not try to have my mind go elsewhere, even though I do a lot, and just be open to whatever that is. And again, I think that prayer, even though it's of emptiness and it's a meditation in a sense, um, it needs to be a habit, and how that invites that connection in my life, that has been helpful to me, to help foster that sense of unity and union with God, and out of that to be in union and unity with Renee or whoever in my life.
That gives you the spark and
Yeah.
the
Well,
fuel,
yeah, that's a good
the
way.
rocket fuel to keep you going.
Yes, yeah. It gives me oil for my lamp to be
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
When the spirit, I'll encounter the spirit that day. And as you said, Dennis, I'll miss it more than I encounter it. But um, but hopefully it gives me the eyes to see when it does come, or the courage to say yes to it, to participate with it when it does come.
Yeah. Yeah. The the courage. Imagine the courage it took for people to walk up and ask Jesus for, and the conviction and
Desperation.
the well, yeah.
I mean, that's it, well, and in the best sense of that, Winwood is desperate in this song.
That's what it sounds like.
And
Yeah.
that's, he's being
That's
honest in his
it's
desperation.
being
Why would we try to
yeah,
be polite about it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me feel that love come over me. Let me feel how strong it can be.
What are we doing for time? Because I got a quote here I want to give you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So those last two lines that you just read, Nikos Kazantzakis, he wrote The Last Temptation of Christ. And before the prelude to the book, the book, he's got, this poem where Kazantzakis says, and I'm going to read this, there are three kinds of souls. And I remember reading it and thinking, this is just beautiful. The first kind is, I am a bow in your hands, Lord. Draw me lest I rot. The second kind is, do not overdraw me, Lord. I shall break. The third kind is, overdraw me, Lord, and who cares if I break? And I love that because I hear Winwood saying the third. There are three
Yeah,
kinds of souls. He's saying, Let me feel how strong it can be. Overdraw me, Lord. I don't care if I break. This is my desire is that much.
Wow. Wow. That's freaking heavy, man.
That's me,
You're kind
though.
of freaking
Not
me
me.
out, man.